Why tech giants are swapping their cozy office wear for sunglasses and shorts? Big tech companies are moving to warmer places. Usually, these big companies were found in New York and Silicon Valley, but now, especially after the pandemic, Miami is becoming a new tech hotspot. Florida is now home to some of the biggest brands in the country. For example, Ken Griffin's Citadel and Citadel Securities have moved their headquarters to Miami. JP Morgan Chase's CEO, Jamie Dimon, even talked about the company's big renovation plans in Tampa, which will boost the local economy by $210 million. Even tech giants like Microsoft, Amazon, and Apple are increasing their presence in Miami. What could this mean for the future of the tech industry? Big tech companies are moving to South Florida after the pandemic. It all started in 2021 when Microsoft announced that its Latin America regional team would move to Miami's Brickell district by the sea. A few years later, Amazon said it was looking for another 50,000 square feet in the area following its founder Jeff Bezos, who moved from Seattle. In November 2023, Bezos shared that he was leaving Seattle for Indian Creek Island in South Florida, where he now has 3 mansions. More recently, it was reported that Apple is also moving to Florida. The company is taking 45,000 square feet in a new building in Coral Gables, a wealthy area just south of Miami. When asked for a comment, Apple did not respond to Fortune. New York and San Francisco have always been top spots for businesses. Data shows that venture capital, VC, investments back this up. Between 2019 and 2021, 27.8% of VC investments were made in the San Francisco, Oakland, and Fremont areas. This is a big part of Silicon Valley. Another 8.1% of VC money went to other Silicon Valley places like Santa Clara and San Jose. Right behind San Francisco was New York. During those 3 years, 14.4% of VC funding went to New York. The energy in these cities is linked to the talent they have. Both New York and San Francisco are close to some of the best universities in the country. This talent, along with billions of dollars in investments, has helped these areas become the main hubs for 2 of the biggest industries in the U.S. It might seem unlikely that Miami, with its warm weather and beach lifestyle, could compete with them. However, experts told Fortune that South Florida has what it takes to change the current situation. After starting Amazon in a garage in Seattle in 1994, Jeff Bezos, a centibillionaire with a net worth of around $160 billion, is moving to Florida. In an Instagram post, the world's 3rd wealthiest person said he wanted to be closer to his parents, who recently moved back to Miami. He mentioned that his parents have always been his biggest supporters. Bezos also noted that his space company Blue Origin is moving more of its operations to Cape Canaveral. Moving to Florida has financial benefits for the Amazon founder. Florida doesn't charge capital gains tax, which can be significant for someone like Bezos, who has sold around $30 billion in stock since 2002, according to Bloomberg. Even though Bezos mentioned he's moving to Miami, not much will change for the owner of the Washington Post newspaper. He won't have to look for a new home since he reportedly bought a $68 million mansion on the small man-made island of Indian Creek, also called Billionaire Bunker, back in August. In October, he also purchased his next-door neighbor's $79 million property. But Miami isn't the only place where Bezos lives. Along with his collection of luxury cars and private Gulfstream jets, Bezos owns several properties valued recently at $500 million. His decision to move might be related to a Washington State Supreme Court ruling in March. They upheld a 7% tax on capital gains that started in January 2022, despite a legal challenge. This ruling is seen as historic because lawmakers in Olympia disagreed with the Internal Revenue Service. They labeled the tax as an excise tax instead of an income tax to get around the fact that Washington state doesn't have an income tax according to state law. Now, most voters in Seattle support a similar capital gains tax for the city. Unlike most people, entrepreneurs and other ultra-high net worth individuals usually don't pay taxes on their personal earnings. That's because their wealth comes from assets, not salaries or bonuses. Instead, the IRS collects taxes when one of these assets is sold, which can be a big deal for the super rich. That's why Florida is a popular choice among billionaires. The state doesn't tax these sales because it doesn't have its own income tax either. Even though Bezos' tax money might be leaving the Pacific Northwest, the centibillionaire mentioned he'd still leave something behind to show his gratitude. He said, "Seattle, You will always have a piece of my heart. And don't worry, the city still gets to keep Amazon. Do you know why is Florida becoming so popular? Living in the Southeast offers 250 days of warm weather, but that's not the main reason big businesses are interested. One major draw is that Florida doesn't have a personal income tax, which is appealing to high earners. Kenan Fikri, Director of Research at the Economic Innovation Group (EIG), thinks there's more to it. He noted that the pandemic caused many people to move from New York to South Florida. Usually retirees were the ones moving south, but the pandemic made younger people rethink their lifestyles. They left New York to find bigger homes with more amenities. These people are still in the prime of their working lives, bringing skills and money that speed up a trend Fikri thinks would have happened eventually. The EIG track states its economic health by looking at things like how many new businesses start, how many entrepreneurs there are, and how many people are working. By this measure, New York has been declining, with its score dropping from 35.9 in 2000 to 23.4 in 2024. On the other hand, Florida's ranking has improved, moving from 7th to 5th place in the country. Fikri mentioned that population growth and economic growth go hand in hand. As New York has declined, it has become less attractive. Meanwhile, Florida has kept growing, attracting more workers. One of the many people who recently moved to Florida is Professor David Andolfato, the chair of the Miami Herbert Business School at the University of Miami. Andolfato moved to Florida in 2022 after being the senior vice president of research at the St. Louis Fed. He said that there are plenty of skills and talent available because of the high-caliber students at UMiami. Professor Andolfato shared that the southeast of the U.S. doesn't have the same academic tradition as the Northeast and California. However, he sees great potential in building partnerships between businesses and the University of Miami. He is very excited about students meeting the needs of the companies moving in. He believes this attracts talent and notes that much of this talent is developed locally. Business schools in Florida aren't as common as those higher up the East Coast, but this might change soon. For example, Citadel CEO Ken Griffin has already invested in an economics department at the University of Chicago. In April, he donated $9 million to bring a math program supported by the school to public school students in Miami. Fikri mentioned that it would be a good sign if people started investing not just in companies, but also in local institutions. This shows that places are not just attracting people because of lower living costs, but are also committed to investing in the area's future. South Florida should make sure its rise doesn't lead to the same problems faced by other big cities. For example, Tesla CEO Elon Musk has harshly criticized San Francisco, calling it a disaster and likening it to a zombie apocalypse due to high crime rates, drug abuse, and homelessness. Experts told Fortune that the influx of investment in South Florida should be used to improve infrastructure, or as Professor Andolfato calls it, the basics. What do people want? They want a safe and secure place to raise their families. They also want peace of mind, knowing they have access to good healthcare, education, and affordable housing. These are ongoing issues. And then, let people take advantage of the opportunities they're given and have the freedom to choose what they want to do. If Florida can invest more without making inequalities worse, it could keep people there for their whole working lives. Fikri explained, the idea of being a place where you can build your entire career and afford to stay as long as you want would be very appealing. Many people who left expensive city centers in the past few years would have preferred to stay but felt they couldn't. So they moved on. So do you think Florida will eventually become the luxurious hotspot in the globe? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. Also, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Until next time.